What is up, my fellow Sackers? I'm here bringing you guys top 8 deck lists of the Chicago Monthly that happened last week. Real quick, I am in a hotel. I don't have my normal setup with me or my setup equipment. I literally brought my mic and I literally bought this laptop I'm recording off of to film this video. So apologies for like the no intro and maybe like lack of production quality, but I'm working with what I got. But yeah, so last week, I believe, let me check real quick. Last week, August 10th, we had the Tinley Park Chicago Monthly, 78 players, the largest Chicago Monthly to date. It's the fifth one, and if I'm going to be honest, I'm really impressed with how many people show up. Because like a lot of people, I go to the local scenes a lot, the local Edison tournaments, and a lot of these people that show up I don't see very often. So shouts to them for coming out, and shouts to TGS Tinley Park for getting the exposure, getting the prizing. This time it was for an ulti Caius. Spoiler if you already haven't seen the video, Chai T won first place with Black Wings, my boy. And yeah, it was just a great tournament. I judged this one, and I judged the last one actually too. And yeah, so I learned a lot from judging, and it's really nice to judge. I really enjoy how. I guess I should say I appreciate judges more after after judging these last two. So yeah, and just some quick tidbits. This was top four. I've judged, but the value player who got top four left early, so he unfortunately did not get his pristine protection supply package. Pristine Protection helped sponsor this tournament and gave out some sleeves to the top four players. So there's Chai, Kalenda, our 2023 national champ. I'm a placeholder, and Gerardo, shouts to Gerardo for making top four. And yeah, that's about it. Here's our boy. Look at him holding that ulti Kai. It's fucking cutie. But yeah, without further ado, let's do the top eight and the breakdowns of all the decks. So actually, I'm going to zoom in on the. So I have last month's and I have this month's breakdown. Shouts to Nick from TGS for creating these graphics. They're freaking awesome. So we can see in top 8 it was 3 Blackwing, 2 Hero Frog, 1 Dark Plant, 1 Glide Beast, and 1 Vayu Turbo. And here's like the overall spread of all the decks. We've been taking deck lists in now, so because of that, he goes through all the deck lists one by one on paper and creates and consolidates all these stats. So it's a lot of work, but he just wants to do it for the community. So he's an awesome guy. I love him. But yeah, so a really diverse meta. So this is a Chicago snapshot meta, I guess you could say. And I feel like it's pretty standard. There's some more like rogue decks, I guess, that I'm not as used to seeing, because I feel like the top three, like in my head, the top three make up a little more than just like, what is this, like 26, about like a third of the field. I feel like they should make up around half, like in my head, but I guess that's normally not the case. I guess this is, like, now that I think about it, pretty standard. Miscellaneous being a top 10 is crazy. There were some crazy decks I saw. There was like a Jaden Yuki deck with like Wing Karibo and like the elemental heroes. He was that was fun to watch. He was going off. But yeah, like it's just nice seeing the community get together and play Edison with such a diverse format. A lot of people that I haven't seen since like Edison itself. Shouts to like people like Randy Ritchie. Like they've all come out of the woodworks to play Edison. It's just freaking awesome. And then if I go out to last month's, so last month's Jackson won with his Blizzard Dragon deck. I'm sure you've all seen the E3 Yu-Gi-Oh channel. And yeah, like this is more almost half, I guess, the big three, but I feel like there's more diversity now. It's kind of weird. Edison is in such a unique state right now because there's like Dream Frogs becoming a deck. People are more worried about Amaryllis. Like new upcoming decks are coming out, so it's just cool to see that there's just more variety in decks, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, without further ado, I can get into the top 8 lists. So starting off, Dark Plants. So Dark Plants actually got top 8 at the last, or I think he got top 4. Raul, shouts to Raul. He got top 4 at the last monthly. He got top 8 at this monthly. And the only card he changed is he took out Book of Moon from his main deck and put in a third legacy of Yagarasu. Yeah, I don't think Book of Moon is very good, strong in the current meta, so that's probably a smart choice. Yeah, this deck was first inspired by Thomas Mack, who also I had recently on my channel with the Jinzo OTK deck profile. So he's just like deck innovator. This deck is just quick draw, take out the quick draw, put in some dark monsters like Dark Arm Dragon Chaos or whatever. And yeah, this seems to work out for him. He keeps doing well with it. So yeah, congrats to Raul for playing this deck. Yeah, he even tells me himself, I know he doesn't think the deck is that good, but he somehow just keeps winning. Okay, another top 8 deck. This is Hero Frog. RJ, really strong player in the Chicago Edison scene. I think he got top 16 at Nats this year. And the one thing you guys will notice is he's only playing one Dupe Frog. He stands by this. He's like, every time I ask him, well, I've only asked him like once actually, but when I do ask him, he's like, why would you play more than one? I guess it kind of makes sense because when you do the substitute lock, most of the time you do start with a soft lock. Obviously, if they have pressure, you'll put on both, but it's almost the same thing, like soft locking versus hard locking. So you don't really want to draw multiple frogs a lot of times. So he takes out one Dupe Frog for a third Swap Frog. I guess it makes sense. Time will tell if that's correct or not. But most of the rest of his list is pretty standard. He has a lot of Graveyard Hate, 2 DD Crow, and Transmigration Prophecy, maxing out on Vanity Fiends. Yeah, most of it's pretty standard. He also plays a Mistworm as his 15 card in the extra deck. Another top 8. So Marcus Hayden, my boy, also top 8 with Hero Frogs. He's been showing me his list consistently, like week by week. So this is no surprise to me. It's pretty similar to Fraser's list. Oh, and I should have said for RJ's list and Marcus's list, they're both playing 2 Ryza, and they're both playing 3 Swap Frog. So coincidence? I don't know. I don't think they talk about their lists too often. So if they arrived at that conclusion like separately, that's pretty cool to see. And looks like Marcus has a Battle Fader, and I know RJ has that 1D Prison in his list. So yeah, lists are overall pretty similar. Marcus is playing the Thought Ruler over the Mistworm in RJ's lists. And then the last 5th through 8th place list is GB's. Shouts to Fernando. He's one of the nicest guys ever. His list is pretty standard, I say. I'm not like too familiar with what the standard GB list is nowadays, but this looks pretty akin to what I'm used to seeing. The one thing noticeable that's missing is Solemn's not in the main. I get that now. People are pretty low on Solemn, and there's no Hippo. I feel like Hippo is really good. I don't play GBs, so I don't know where the decision came from to cut Hippo, but I am pretty scared of Hippo. Normally when they set Hippo, I'm like, crap, I have to commit to hit over this guy. But hey, shouts to Fernando. Getting top 8's pretty good. And then moving on to top 4. So it's a bird meta, I guess, because top 4 is Value, Blackwing, Blackwing, Blackwing. So we're just going to get into it pretty quick. Top 4 Blackwing, Fletcher. This is the guy who unfortunately didn't get his pristine protection package, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, hopefully he comes out again. This list is pretty standard, I say. There are no Solemn in the main, deck dev instead of Solemn, 2 Oppression. I guess those are the noticeable things. And then he is playing 2 Kaiku. I don't want to like say like this is definitely the thing, because I can't say for certain like anything is like 100% correct. Like no one can really say like this is for sure correct or not. But I am high on Kaiku, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Kaiku is, I guess, like the hidden superstar for Value right now, because it is such a killer against frogs. Like I'm almost convinced it's better than Fossil Dyna in Value against frogs, because with Fossil Dyna, you can't just play Fossil Dyna like naked itself and attack. Like even if you have like D Prison or something behind it, you can't do that, because if they just set a Dupe Frog or Substitute, you're screwed. Like you have to commit with Fossil Dyna. So essentially like you have to be winning in a sense for Fossil Dyna to be good. But then you can't slam Fossil Dyna unless you're winning. So basically you have a Fossil Dyna in your hand that you can't slam unless you're winning. So basically you're saying you need to be winning while being -1. And that's really hard against frogs. It's not impossible, obviously. I'm just saying it's harder than I'd like it to be. But with Kaiku, if they ever just swap bounce, or you like can overextend a little and then slam Kaiku, it's really really good. Like they can't, like, you banish both Treeborns and then they can't Miracle Fusion because they can't banish from graveyard with Kaiku out, which is really really strong. And in early game, as the value player, I hate drawing Fossil Dino because I'm just like, this card's not going to do anything for like 3 turns, right? Unless I just like randomly slam Armed Wing and Fossil Dino and pray to God they don't have the out. Which is not likely if it's early, so it's really not going to do anything. But with Kaiku, if they bounce swap, if I ever get like one poke in, Kaiku's really really scary. So I like drawing Kaiku earlier is what I'm saying, and I can kind of slam it whenever. It doesn't have to be like the nail in the coffin. So yeah, I just like Kaiku better. The only thing is, like, Gorz is such a problem in that matchup, and Kaiku does not address that, whereas Fossil Dino does. But besides that, I do think Kaiku is way better. Yeah, that was a long rant on Kaiku, my bad. Okay, and then we're going to go through 3 Blackwing decks, but I do have a few things to say about it. So, because I know all 3 of these players pretty well. So third place, top 4, this is Gerardo's list. Gerardo's just recently got into Edison. And okay, so I don't have nice things to say about Gerardo's deck. I have many nice things to say about Gerardo. I love that guy, but I don't have many nice things to say about this list. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So like, he's playing Cold Wave and Trunade. Trunade, I get, like, Trunade, this deck has so many states to, like, where if you can, like, get in with a Shura, get in with like a Sirocco Bora, Gale or something, Blizzard, etc., etc., etc. There's like many pushes the deck can do. So Trunade kind of makes sense. You can easily recoup the -1 you do with Trunade with your monsters. Cold Wave, what is this? Like, I don't understand this. Like, obviously Cold Wave is a strong card, and it can be good in Blackwing, but a lot of the time I'm like, dude, you're playing 15 traps, bro. Like, what are you doing here? Like, I don't know about this card. You're like, no roll and proc. Like, I no repression. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Cold Wave, yeah, not sure about that guy. And then the side deck's cool. There's nothing like, insane out there, but there's some conflicting things I'm not completely sure about. Like, for example, like, you have this 1 skill drain and 2 rug. I guess like in my head, this is like skill drains for Vayu and Frog Hero. But in Frog Hero, you already have these 2 rugs, so like if you have skill drain off, the rug's not really going to do anything. I guess like, you're just treating it as a 3rd rug, which I guess is fine. And then you have Iron Wall in here, which is fine, but then I feel like you're siding this in against Vayu, and then you have a Nobleman as well. So if you have Iron Wall up, you can't Nobleman. I mean, I guess it probably doesn't come up, but just seems conflicting, and I'd rather not sign in conflicting cards. But in the end, it's still, the skeleton is obviously is there for Blackwing. So yeah, he did well with it. So I mean, what can I say? He got top 4. So obviously he did well with the list. And then second place, also Blackwings. This is Matt Kalenda's list. It's playing the God, I can't talk, Mistral and Mind Control package. I used to be a really, really big fan of this, but then after testing some more, I'm just like, you have to kind of like draw the cards together, like Mistral and Mind Control, or like, basically you have to draw Mind Control, because drawing Mistral is pretty ass. So yeah, that ended up making me like not like it, unfortunately. So I don't know how he feels about it. Obviously he went with it, so it must have been good for him, but yeah, like the reason to play Mistral is it's a Shura target for a level 2 tuner, and it just pairs well with Mind Control. But he's playing Mistral and 2 Vayu, so that's like, I don't know, that's just so many garnets. But hey, he obviously made it work for him. Side deck, he's on the 1 Fossil Dino. I definitely agree with that in Blackwing. All your normal summons are already so good. You don't really want to play more if you can help it. And 3 Rug makes sense. You can easily put Frogs in a checkmate kind of position where they have to drop a Monarch or something, and then you just Rug in, it's GG. But yeah, I do want to say though, like, we had to do deck checks for top 8. And Kalenda gave me his deck. He's like, can you please do my deck check? Because he's like, you'll appreciate the cards. And when I was going through the cards, okay, well, first, when I touched his sleeves, I always forget, like, I know he does, but I always forget this man only uses OG KMC whites. And I haven't touched OG KMC whites since like 15 or something. So I'm like, oh my God, these sleeves are freaking like amazing. And then all his cards are. I'm pretty sure every card that can be is Euro English. So I'm just going like all his like black wings like they look really dark. All his like ultis are really embossed. I'm just going through this deck. It was so hard for me to do his deck check because I'm just like jizzing over looking like feeling and looking at all his cards. Like I know it sounds really weird, but I am a cardboard addict, and his deck was just so beautiful. I aspire to be like our national champ. Anyway, first place. Chai Tea. So if you've already seen the deck profile on YouTube, obviously this is the exact same list, and he talks about it pretty in depth in the deck profile. So I would definitely recommend looking up that deck profile on my channel if you're interested in his thoughts. So I won't talk about it too much, but the main thing I want to talk about is Dark Illusion. Obviously, this card has been gaining popularity recently. It's so good in the mirror match. Hitting Sirocco, like you can flip Dark Illusion on your opponent's Sirocco because Sirocco targets. Colossal Fighter. Like the first time I saw this when Chai used this is in Fraser's locals. Like Chai will always randomly enter Fraser's locals. So anytime Fraser like streams his locals, I'll randomly watch, and sometimes, actually a lot of times, Chai will be on there. And then I'm watching him play against, I think it's Hershey Bar, and it's a Blackwing mirror match. And then I forget what happens, but Chai flips Dark Illusion like game 1. And I'm like, or maybe game 2. I don't know. It wasn't game 3. Point is, it wasn't game 3. And I like flipped out of my seat. I'm like, oh my God, he's playing Dark Illusion. Oh, and then later, Hershey Bar has Dark Arm Dragon on the field, and he's thinking so hard if he should use Dark Arm's effect on the monster or on the back row because he knows about Dark Illusion because he already got screwed by it. And eventually he decides to use it on the monster, and then Chai just flips Dark Illusion. I'm like, dude, this card is insane. Chai also had Colossal Fighter plus Dark Illusion, and that's almost checkmate in the Blackwing mirror. Like you can't Icarus it. Most Blackwing decks don't play Tarantula anymore. The only really thing you can do is either like you have to MST the Dark Illusion or you Mirror Force Colossal. That's really it. And people are less inclined to blind space now that like Yada's everywhere. So yeah, it ends up working really well. And the other cool thing is that people are doing are Mind Control is obviously very good into Raikou decks. But when you Mind Control a hamster, that kind of sucks. So people are siding in the cheeky one Raikou now. Also, when you said Raikou in Blackwing, everyone thinks it's value. So like kind of a surprise factor there. But yeah. So yeah, I'm really happy with these tournaments. We consistently getting, we're getting. I think the first tournaments were like 50-ish, and then 60 now, almost 80 players. Like we're just consistently growing, and it's just great to see the scene growing as well. So yeah, if you're in Illinois or close, please follow Tinley Park's Facebook page, TGS Tabletop Gaming, and because they post all the events for the monthlies there. The next one hasn't been announced yet, but it will most likely be the first weekend of September 7th. So yeah, if you're in the area and you want to go, please book that date. So yeah, not much else to say. Yeah, just really, really great tournament. And then, oh yes, and then I do stream the tournaments on my channel, obviously. If you haven't checked those out, they are on the live tab, and they will be streamed on this channel going forward. So yeah, it's just great to see the local Chicago scene growing. So yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.